We're, like I said, going to be doing this on a regular basis from here on out. So if there's any topics that you guys want us to cover, if there's anything that you want answered specifically, hop on these lives and ask these questions. We're happy to answer it.
Sir,
So,
sir.
yeah. My name is Chase. I've been in entrepreneurship and marketing for more than 10 years. I'm here with my good friend, Jerod.
What's up, kids? My name's Jerod Schoonmaker. Same thing. I've been self-employed, I don't know, 20 something years in different realms between real estate and everything else. So thanks for joining us, and let's get this party started. It's a juicy one today.
Without further ado, though, we're covering the topic of nice guy syndrome today. The reason that we wanted to cover this topic is because it's one of the first things that men go through when they first start to get into masculinity and high value coaching and that kind of stuff. It's obviously one of the biggest things that holds men back in our society today. And there's obviously a lot of questions around it, a lot of confusion around it. And so we really just kind of wanted to cover the topic in depth.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely something that comes up a lot in coaching. And believe it or not, some of the women that I coach, this comes up way more than the men I coach. Having them understand what this syndrome is all about. So this is a great topic for both men and women to, kind of understand and do your own research on after.
Right. And in a nutshell, it really just kind of comes down to codependency. Like that's really what it is in a nutshell, is being codependent on other people and really needing validation from other people. I give, I get, essentially, is kind of the mentality behind it. A lot of men kind of believe that if they're putting a lot of effort into a relationship, they believe that if they're doing something for somebody, they should get something in return. And a lot of the times they get really angry when they don't get what they expect out of it. And it's just what they've always kind of developed a mindset around. Like as they grow up, a lot of men, especially without dads and things like that in their lives, they don't have a lot of high value men in their lives to look up to. They look up to their moms, they look up to the women in their lives, and they start to think that, okay, well, this is how I get what I want, when in reality, it's an extreme misconception, because they're always putting themselves and their needs and their wants on the back burner. They don't really have any boundaries, and they have a hard time setting boundaries for that reason. And really, it makes it highly unattractive to women. And so that's one thing that we really want to cover today. So just kind of getting into this, can you kind of define yourself, like what nice guy syndrome is, and kind of explain its characteristics?
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. We're pretty much aligned with that. But if you're talking about specifically on dating and relationships, it's this kind of this sense of entitlement to sex or a relationship just for being nice. And often these guys, when they get friend zoned, or the woman or guy, if you're gay, doesn't reciprocate those feelings or want to have sex, they get very angry. They get they're anything but nice. I'm sure some of the audience or people watching this down after this stream can completely agree. They've had situations in their lives where a guy will do something, and just because he's doing it is expecting sex in return. And when that doesn't, or a relationship, and when that doesn't happen, they get very, very angry. And not even on the relationship side, just general relationships with coworkers and friends. I kind of look at it as you're just a people pleaser. You have no opinions of yourself, or you might have an opinion, but you want to play small just so people like you. And that's very dangerous, because for the most part, a man should have his own opinions. He should have his own path and purpose. He should be looking to himself for his own validation, not through other people, and certainly not through a woman.
100%. Absolutely. Completely agree with that. I remember when I first heard about it, I read this book by Dr. Robert Glover. It's called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And it kind of
it's a great book.
The concept of it. Yeah, it was an amazing book. It was incredibly insightful. And
Yeah.
it's just not something that really ever came to my mind growing up, and something that, I've struggled with bits and pieces of it in the past. I mean, all of us are kind of overcoming these things
Sure.
as we go through our journey and all that stuff. It's part of becoming a high value man. Like, you've got to set your boundaries. You've got to set your vision for the future. You've got to step into it. You've got to lean into it. You're the person setting the frame. And that's really kind of what the feminine side of things really expects. It doesn't matter if you're a man, woman. It's the masculine versus feminine characteristics, the polarity, and all that stuff behind it too kind of plays a role in this. And women and feminine in general, they need you to set the frame as the masculine person in the relationship. And that's when they feel most secure. And that's when they can really do what they need to do. And that polarity really works. Yeah. And so really a lot of men, like, they're trying to fit themselves into this box that society kind of built for them. So, like, just moreover on that, how do you think this concept of nice guy syndrome relates to traditional gender roles and expectations in that regard?
Well, I mean, you sort of touched on this earlier too. A lot of guys fall into nice guy syndrome just by their social conditioning, the social construct that they might have been born into. So a lot of fathers in this modern day, they're either absent in their kids' lives or they're a nice guy in their own lives. And so what typically happens, the mom takes over. Most teachers are females. They might have sisters. So they start looking up to the female side as a role model. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is they don't have that masculine energy molding them and kind of teaching them. So they're more feminine than masculine. And typically what happens is they're going to look externally through validation through other people and not through themselves. So women are very smart at picking this up. They're smart on picking it up, because that, if you are listening to this and you're like, do I have this nice guy syndrome? I mean, really the biggest one, if you struggle with women and you're always getting thrown in the friend zone, then this part is specifically for you. And that's why you're not viewed as trusted. You're not safe. You're not, you're going to say whatever the fuck you want just to get what you want.
Exactly. No, that's exactly it. Like, that's just it. Like, a lot of these guys don't know how to get what they want. And this is how, like, the mechanisms that they kind of implement to try and get what they want. And so they think that if I'm nice, or if I do these things that this person wants me to do, they're going to give me what I want. And that's how I'm going to get what I want. If I just do for this person, I put myself on the back burner, I don't worry about myself and my needs, and I just focus on them, I'm going to get what I want. And then when that doesn't work out for them, which it almost never does.
Never does.
They get mad.
It never does. It might work out in the short term, because if we kind of use the beginning of a relationship, let's say there is high attraction that the woman does have for him, but he does have nice guy syndrome. Well, in the beginning, oh my God, he's doing this for me. He's doing that. He's doing this. And then all of a sudden she is not, maybe he painted her porch. Here's a perfect example. He painted her porch. She didn't ask him to. It needed to be done. He stepped in and did it. And then she says, thank you so much. Well, he might be thinking, oh, I want sex for this, or you're not being very appreciative. So even her gratitude isn't enough in that sense. So they didn't paint the porch to be kind, to be a good man, to say, this needs to be done. I'm just going to do it for her because it needs to be done. I'm going to do it in the hopes that I get something later for it. And that's the whole point of the nice guy syndrome. It's basically tit for tat. I do this, you do that, or I'm expecting it.
And it's incredibly unhealthy. That's the thing, is like, it's unhealthy for you. It's unhealthy for the relationship. Women don't love it. It's not what anybody wants. It leaves all of us incredibly unhappy, because the woman's not going to feel like she's safe with you. She's not going to feel secure. So she's going to be looking for the best option on the outside too. And so it really is just an unhealthy kind of mechanism. It's really manipulation at its core. You're trying to manipulate the situation.
It's 1000% manipulation. Yeah, definitely is. And just think about it, if you're a woman on this, or I've heard it, I don't know how many times, that, men always, men always ghost me, or they do this, they do that. Well, kind of look back at the pattern, like who this person was. He did and said things you wanted to hear for him to get what he wanted, and then he's gone. That's also nice guy syndrome, because he got what he wanted. He wasn't authentic about it. He probably lied about it, and then he got what he wanted and is done. So nice guy syndrome screws it up for a lot of good men out there who are doing the things that they need to do. They're providing. They're generally good, kind men. Well, that definitely screws it up. This nice guy syndrome screws it up for the whole pool.
And that's the thing too. Like once you actually get into the journey to recovery, you actually start to get what you want. Like you actually start to get more of the things that you want. You get more clear on the things that you want. You stop shoving that stuff under the surface, and it's a lot healthier for everybody involved. The women feel safer. You start enforcing your boundaries, and everything just kind of starts to work out for you. It's just the thing that a lot of these nice guys can't get to. They don't understand that, like, well, if I do this thing, I should get this thing. They don't understand that if you protect your boundaries and if you set the frame and you hold the frame, they feel safe and everybody's happier in the relationship.
Yeah. And you said it's about boundaries.
Right. So in your opinion, what are some common misconceptions about nice guy syndrome that we have in society today?
Well, a lot of it is it's just not known, because some of these guys can come across very sweet, charming, shy, even. They might even say things like, I'm just unlucky with women, or, so the misconceptions that are out there is they take on this victim role. Like I do everything for everybody and nobody does anything for me. So it's a misconception that's out there that when you hear these buzzwords or you kind of see this, you really want to think about it and say, okay, well, why are you so bad with women? Why does everybody put you in a friend zone? Why do all of my so-called friends only call me when we go out to have drinks because I pay for the drinks? Why am I the only DD ever? I mean, who knows? Why do people only call me when they want something? Well, the only common denominator is you in all of that. The only common denominator is you. You're a people pleaser. People pleasers only generate takers in all realms.
And that's the thing too, is I think that's really where the misconception comes from. They feel like if they're doing for somebody else that they get what they want out of it. It comes from childhood, all that kind of stuff too. But the biggest thing is like I said, when you start enforcing your own boundaries, when you start to figure out what it is that you want, you stop shoving that stuff under the surface, things just overall become healthier. It's not even just with your personal relationship with your wife or your girlfriend. It's really your relationship with your friends, your relationship with the greater society, all that stuff. It's just a much healthier role to try and embody. So, I mean, going back to that, I don't think it's really obvious to a lot of men out there, like when they're kind of doing this or when they're kind of displaying these kinds of things. So how can someone recognize that they may be displaying signs of nice guy syndrome, and what can they kind of do about it, do you think?
If they show signs of, just being dishonest, secretive about things, controlling is a big one, manipulative, that's a huge one. So if you sense yourself always, you're trying to control situations and people, if you manipulate them, passive aggressive behavior is huge. If you display passive aggressive tendencies, you tend to fall into this nice guy syndrome, depending on the situation. A lot of people are passive aggressive, but that thing. Also, they also have very narcissistic and self-centered beliefs, because they are self-centered. They're only interested in helping you if you can help them. And again, on opposite sex, i.e., that means sex or a relationship, they're not being nice to be nice. So they want something.
Yeah, it's the I give, I get kind of mentality. Yeah, absolutely.
It is. So those kinds of traits, if you have any of those, or if you know somebody who has it, then they definitely have to whatever the spectrum on this nice guy syndrome.
Right. I mean, I remember in the book when I was reading from Dr. Glover in No More Mr. Nice Guy, he talked
Yeah.
about that a bit too. Like he was talking to a lot of these men's wives because he was a therapist, right?
Mhm.
And so basically he would talk to a lot of these men's wives kind of
Yeah.
one-on-one, and they would be like, okay, well, I'm just doing my thing and we're just like living our lives. And then all of a sudden he just gets mad and he doesn't tell me why he's mad. And he just blows up out of nowhere for no reason at all. And like those are a lot of I think the behaviors that a lot of these guys start to display. And they don't even realize they're doing it a lot of the time. They just think that, I'm putting all this effort into this. I'm doing all this stuff for you and you're not doing anything for me. And this is bullshit. When in reality, you're responsible for your own needs. You're responsible for taking care of yourself. And that's the thing is like when you're doing things for somebody else, but you expect that person to come back and do for you, that's the wrong way to look at it. That's when you know you're in the wrong, I think.
Right. And the biggest one is we call it keeping score. They always are going to have that scorecard in the back of their mind. I did this for you that time, this, and this. I asked you to do something and you couldn't do it. It's not because maybe they didn't want to. They just maybe couldn't do it. And then they have the ability to say no. You don't have the ability to say no.
Right.
You're going to blow up at the person for saying no. The end of the result is they have boundaries. They're not able to do whatever it was that you want them to do. And, it's that mirror effect that kind of gets thrown at them is, you tend to look at that. My God, he said no to me. I've done all of this stuff. Why did this person or this girl say no? Because you lack the ability to say no.
Well, and they really can't even connect it that's even a problem. Honestly, a lot of the time it's that, I pulled down my boundaries. I overstepped my boundaries in order to do for you. And so you should be willing to do that for me. When in reality, that's not the case at all. Right. You all need to have boundaries. Boundaries are healthy. And if you're kind of pulling your boundaries down to do for other people, that's exactly when you've got a problem.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a huge problem that men have. There's a girl that actually after this, we have our coaching session and, she brought that up where she had two guys that were interested in her and we're kind of getting back into helping her, get out there and date again. She had a lot of, old thoughts about dating and how all men were this and all that. So we started breaking those down. And so now she's out to the point where, all right, I'm ready to give this a try. So we did some certain techniques and stuff so that she can identify specifically what she is looking for. So her RAS kicks in and her actual mind can actually help her find that general person. And so these two guys one was this classic nice guy syndrome. He always wanted to, talk to her, see how she's doing, didn't really pull the trigger on asking her out. Okay. A lot of nice guys, they get thrown in the friend zone. They're not congruent with what they want. They want to ask her out. They might even want to be a little blunt and say, look, I really want to sleep with you. Okay. Women know that. Of course, women know that. They're not stupid. But at the end of the day, I said, okay, let's just play one scenario with this guy. I want you to ask him out. She's like, okay. Yeah. I said, well, if he's not going to do it, I want you to ask him out. He said, and I quote, yeah, I'll take you out to dinner, but I want sex after that. Well, what do you think happened to that relation? What do you think happened in that sense? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So for months, this guy's been tiptoeing around, and then she finally, threw him on the mat, says, hey, I'm free Saturday. Let's get together. Well, if I buy dinner, I want sex.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I think that's a lot of the time too. It's just, it goes unsaid a lot of the time with these nice guys too, is the thing. Is like, it's on the back burner. They want it to happen. So they do. Right. And when it doesn't happen, they blow up and they're anything but nice.
Or the flip side, they do. And the woman's like, this guy's she might have liked you. She might have liked you in the beginning, but you were not masculine enough. You did not pull the trigger and say, hey, when are you free? Let's go out. She's like, all right, well, he's not interested. So you got thrown into the friend zone. And then you're pissed. You're like, well, I'm like, dude, it's your fault. You're trying to go around this and just be direct. Be honest, be direct. If you get shot down, okay, that's fine. But doing all of these things for her and not being direct, and then she's not interested anymore or was never interested, then you get mad. Well, it's your fault. It wasn't
Yeah,
her fault.
exactly. And the thing is too, is it comes in varying levels too. It's not just guys at the bottom of society that this happens to. It's also
Oh,
guys that
no.
have money, who have been successful, all that kind of stuff too. They go
Yeah.
buy the girl a car, they go wash her car. You know, when they get with a single mother or something like that, they watch
Yeah.
her kids for her. They try and
Yeah.
buy the kids things just to win it over. And it's like, no, dude, like that's
Mhm.
you got it all wrong, man.
Yeah.
You're overstepping your
done that.
boundaries here.
Yeah, and I've done that. We've all been guilty of this syndrome. You got to recognize it. But I've done that in my past relationships. I mean, I remember very specific times. But you know, you got to learn. You got to, you know, that's where coaching comes in. I've been coached for years, and you know, kind of, you know, once you recognize the gaps, you can close the gaps in. And I had a gap in that.
So that's exactly where I wanted to kind of segment this out, like segue this conversation into like, so how can someone work to overcome nice guy syndrome, or, you know, develop those healthy relationships that they're looking for and start to really like put their boundaries out there, enforce things, that kind of stuff? What would you recommend for a lot of these guys?
Well, the first thing to do is they have to actually get honest with themselves and kind of just look into their relationships. Am I good with women? I.e., do I get a lot of dates, or am I in a healthy relationship? No, I get friend zoned a lot. Okay. My other social circles, do people call to invite me to places? And if they do, are they only looking to because I buy the drinks or this? Are they using me? Again, the common denominator in all of these, it's you. It's none of them, it's you. So if you can honestly assess yourself and actually look at that and say, okay, yeah, I display all these things. What can you do about it? Well, obviously there are platforms like this that you can come in. You can sign up for a free consultation that we have, that we can actually help you identify certain maybe behaviors that are displaying of nice guy syndromes and kind of work with you to reverse those. There's tons of YouTube videos out there. You can do all that stuff. But by and large, you need to get around men, masculine men, or men who are on their path and purpose. And maybe I've been called asshole. I've never been really called nice. You know, people that are very close to me know that I'm at heart a good man, but I do have very strong boundaries. It is a very hard no. And if it's a yes, I'm doing it because I want to. I'm not doing it because I have to. I'm doing it because I just generally want to. So recognizing that you have a problem, looking into social media, doing your own research, joining a free consultation that we have. We can do a discovery call. If we decide we're a good fit, obviously we can get together on a weekly call basis, our 90-day program, I would suggest, and start working towards closing up those gaps and leveling yourself up.
Right. Exactly. I think one of the biggest things too is community, like having a community of men around you who have been through this, like not just guys who are, you know, the most macho masculine men out there, but it's really guys that are on the journey the same way you're on the journey. Everybody's trying to overcome this together. All these guys have been through this. All these guys have had this happen to them. They've overcome this. They have strategies and things like that that might help you. And so that's the whole point. It's like we're all on our own journey. We all developed this on our own. Like a lot of this kind of came out of nowhere. All us guys are living in the same society. We're living under the same circumstances, all that stuff. But our situations are different. So something that helped me might help you. Something that helps somebody else in the community might help you. It really just depends. And that's why we have a community of men here.
Right. Absolutely. And we're all here to help. We don't judge anybody in the community. As a matter of fact, if somebody says something that another member brought up, you know, we might give them a warning, but usually you're gone, because this is a platform for all men. We just want you to level up. We want to help you in those key areas that you're dysfunctional in. You know, the whole key of coaching, there's therapy and there's coaching. Therapy takes somebody who is dysfunctional, maybe it's a drug addiction, something that's dysfunctional, and gets them to functional. Coaching gets somebody who's functional and gets them to the next level, gets them to high performing.
I
So
like that.
if you have, if you need therapy, great, go get your therapy, get yourself to functional. But then most therapists, they're done. Like, you're functional. We've done our job. Then you need a good coach that's going to hold your feet to the fire, who's going to make you accountable to your success and make you do those things, or I don't want to say make you do these things, but do the things that you need to do in order to get you high achieving. So that's the whole core of coaching. You can be functional in your life, but is that what you want? I just want to function. I just want to be okay. Or do you want to be amazing? Well, if you're looking to get amazing, you need a coach. You need somebody who has been there, who has certain techniques and skills that can help you get from functional to highly functional, highly extreme, just badass. That's what we want.
One of the biggest things too, like collapsing the amount of time that it takes to get what you want. Like, because that's the thing too, is like when you're on your own journey and you have to go dig into all this stuff yourself, you have to go read all the books. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying that if you really want to shorten the amount of time that it takes to get there, you need to talk to somebody who's been there, who's done that, who could actually tell you exactly when you're making a mistake, exactly what you need to do to overcome that mistake. And it just collapses the amount of time that it takes to get what you want. And so in reality, like when it comes to nice guy syndrome, like one of the biggest things at the end of that book that he talks about is, developing a relationship with yourself. Like you obviously need to know exactly what your boundaries are, exactly what you do and don't like, keeping a journal and things like that are going to help you. We have all kinds of tools in the Magnetic Men Club to kind of help you with that. But realistically, it's just nailing down exactly who you are and what you want and where you want to be. And then being able to go out there with actionable tips and steps to be able to enforce those boundaries for you moving forward and to be able to overcome all of these things that you're kind of dealing with. Because there's a lot of stuff, man. Like there's a lot to deal with when it comes to this stuff. And it's not all obvious. And it's not all your fault either. Like really the biggest thing is having that information and having those actionable steps that you can go out there and take and then collapse the time that it takes to get what you want.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of it is for guys specifically. We kind of have this false sense of who we are, especially if you are suffering from this syndrome. You don't want to be seen for your flaws. And, I'm here to tell you maybe in our closing is you are who you are. You are okay. There's nothing wrong with you. So own it and let's just level you up and stop hiding behind the syndrome of hiding just to be nice, just to get what you want. You'll do better and you'll go farther being direct, having strong boundaries, learning to say no and mean it. You'll get much more respect from your peers. You'll obviously get respect from members of the opposite sex if you are looking to date. Maybe you are married or have a girlfriend, but maybe you are a nice guy in your relationship. Learning these new skills and really closing that gap, she or he's going to respect you even more for it. So
exactly. And it's just doing what you want, basically. Because that's the thing too, is a lot of men get caught up, like maybe their girlfriend or their wife doesn't want to go fishing with them, or maybe they don't want to go on this vacation with them or something like that. And the whole point is, if that's what you want to do, you're going to go do it. You can invite that person, but it doesn't matter if they do or don't want to do it. You're going to go do it anyway. And so that's really one of the most healthy things that I got out of that book was the fact that like, whatever you want to do, you're going to go do it anyway. You don't need anybody's advice. You don't need anybody's validation to go do it or anything like that. All you need is your own. Like if you want to go do this thing, you're going to go do this thing. If there's a hobby you want to pick up, you go pick up that hobby. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter who's against it, whatever. That's part of your boundaries and that's part of who you want to be and what you want to be doing. And so it's really like a lot of men put that stuff on the back burner. They put it off, they push it down. They say, okay, well, if I just push that down, I don't do these things. This person's not going to do the things that I don't like, when that's not healthy. They have their own boundaries. They're doing their own thing. Maybe they don't want to go fishing with you. Maybe they don't want to go on this vacation with you. Maybe they don't want to go to the arcade, whatever it is. But you go do it anyway. And that's the cool thing about it is like we're all our own people. And it's really when you start to push those boundaries out there, the things start to work out. Because if you're enforcing your boundaries, she's going to be much more attracted to you. A lot of
Right.
men are going to be much more attracted to hanging out with you and that kind of stuff too. It's not just personal relationships. It really
Right.
comes down to friendships. It comes down to co-working relationships. It comes down to your relationship with your boss or whatever it is.
Sure,
Your
absolutely.
relationship with your clients, whatever you do in life. It's your relationship with the people around you. And
Right.
really, when you start to enforce those boundaries, when you're happy you're doing what you want to do, you start to act a different way. And you start to really get the things that you want out of life. You're a lot happier. And so everybody else around you gets what they want out of life too, because they really should be protecting and enforcing their boundaries too. And when you do that, you're not a pushover to her anymore. You're not a pushover to these other people anymore. They can't walk all over you anymore. And so it's really just enforcing that stuff so that you can live your life the way that you want to live it and stop putting that stuff on the back burner and hoping for everybody else to do the same for you.
Exactly. You said it perfectly. And what happens is when you do start developing strong boundaries and starting to get a real strong sense of self, the trash takes care of itself. The trash takes itself out. So these garbage friends that you have that have only been using you,
right?
You know what? You
Magnet
just
works both ways.
Yeah, you just cleared out and you've leveled up enough where new energy can actually come in, new friends, new ideas, new associates, new love can actually come in, and you're able in a much better position to receive that,
Right. And that's really what this program is all about. That's why we called it Magnetic Men Club. Like you become a magnet for the things that you want, because magnets, they attract and they repel, right? So the negative things, the things that we don't want, the things that don't belong, they're repelled, and it's okay. They can go. It just leaves your energy open. It leaves room open in your life for the things that you really want to be doing. And so everything else is pretty much just superficial. You need to get rid of those superficial relationships that you're holding on to because you don't want to be abandoned or whatever that is. And that's really what this program is all about, is helping you kind of overcome those things and supporting you through those things that you need to do.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, this was a great topic. I really enjoyed this, man. This was awesome. This is like I said, one of the biggest things when people get into this, when people start to uncover what being a high value man is, integrated males, whatever it is, when they really want to be magnetic for the things they want in their lives, this is one of the first things they encounter.
It is. And if you guys are struggling with this, or maybe some of this resonates with you, just let us know. We'll set up a free discovery call. It's going to be with me personally. It takes about an hour. We're going to go through, and I said this before, and I'll say it every video. The purpose of the call is not for me to become your friend. I'm going to ask you very specific questions. I'm going to possibly trigger some emotions in you, and if they resonate with you, and you feel like you actually do need some coaching on this, then I know we're going to be a right fit for each other.
Right.
So I'm not going to do a discovery call with somebody in hopes to be their friend. Again, nice guy syndrome. I don't need to be your friend. I need to be your coach. I can help you with this syndrome, or again, if you're going through a divorce or a bad breakup, or you're just generally, you feel stuck is a word a lot of people use. Again, set up a free coaching call. We're going to help discover what that is, and then work towards a goal to achieving it, and help you get, again, from functional in your life to highly, highly badass. We want whatever word you want to use. We don't want to keep you from here. We want to elevate you in every sense.
Yeah, no, because that's the thing, is I can't tell you where you want to be. I can't tell you who you want to be. That's really up to you. And it's really up to us to help you uncover that and help you come up with an actionable plan for you to get what you want.
Right. Absolutely.
And so realistically, at the end of this call, like I said, I mean, if you guys comment on this video, if you have any trouble finding that calendar booking link for Jerod, if you guys have any trouble finding any of the free resources that we have available, just let me know in this video and I'll make sure you get that stuff.
Perfect.
All right. So we'll be live again next Wednesday. And yeah, like I said, we'll be doing this every single week. Be sure to show up with your questions. Let us know anything you have. We'll be happy to answer them live, guys.
Take care, guys. Thank you. Bye.